Hey everyone, my name is GameStash, and the submarine simulator Wolfpack recently came out. And if you've played this game for a couple of hours, you might be finally able to accurately control the submarine, in which case, congratulations! However, firing torpedoes and actually hitting them is a completely different story. In this video, I will go over how you can find the convoy using the hydrophone, and I will tell you how to set the Torpedo Data Computer, and hopefully that will help you sinking some ships. If you're playing this game, I'm assuming you have a friend to play with. If you don't even bother trying to sink ships. I usually only play with one extra friend, so I play with 2 people including myself in total. However, I recommend playing with 3 players. You need one person to man the attack periscope. He will tell the second player what to enter on the Torpedo Data Computer, and the third player should keep the depth of the submarine stable and change the course if that's needed. The first thing you want to do when you get in a game is dive. You do this because the hydrophone only works when you're submerged. When diving, don't forget to switch to the electric engine and to blow the negative ballast tank. Switch the engine speed to dead slow and get behind the hydrophone. Crank up the gain and scan the area. When you hear an extremely loud sound, you know the general direction of the convoy. Turn the gain down to pinpoint the exact bearing of the convoy. Remember that the propeller of the submarine itself will also make sound, so you will always hear a sound directly behind the boat, unless you've turned off the engine. Head to the bearing you've just found and resurface to save battery power for the electric engines. If you're heading to where you've heard the sound, in some time you will see the convoy. If you see a destroyer, it's wise to directly dive again. Try to identify the general direction of where the convoy is going. If you can't see whether the convoy is going to your left or right, remember that the engines of the ships are either placed on the middle or the back of the ship. Ideally, you want to be as perpendicular to the path of the convoy as possible. This will increase the odds of hitting a torpedo. If you're reasonably close, it is time to set up the Torpedo Data Computer. Targets are best engaged at periscope depth, which is about 12.5 meters. The best thing to do is to get the second player to set the target computer for you, while you estimate all the values that need to be entered. You will need to enter the following data on the target computer. You don't need to set anything besides these values, since the attack periscope automatically sets some of these values for you. However, you will need to enter this on the Torpedo Data Computer. Simply switch the angle tracking to AP, which stands for attack periscope. Let's start with the easiest things first. The torpedo's depth depends on the type of ship you're firing on. Freighters are a bit deeper in the water than destroyers. For freighters, you can use a depth of 5 meters, and for destroyers I use 2 meters. Of course you could say, why not just pick 1 meter, then you will always hit. This is technically true, however, if the impact of the torpedo is deeper, it will do more damage. To set the target distance, you will have to make an estimation. Look up the target in the recognition manual and look for a mast height. If you cannot find a particular freighter, just take one that has similar masts to the one you see and make a rough estimation of the mast height. Use the attack periscope and lay it over your target. Now, divide the height you looked up by the number of bars the target takes up on the periscope. If you're not zoomed in, you're done. If you are zoomed in, multiply the number you have by 4. You now got an estimation of the target's distance in hectometers, which is the unit used on the target computer. The target's length can be found in the recognition manual. To get the target speed, make sure the boat has stopped. Put your periscope on the target and start a timer. When the boat has passed the line on the middle, stop the timer. Now divide the target's length by the time it took him to pass the line. This is the speed in meters per second. However, the computer uses knots and not meters per second. To go to knots, simply multiply the number by 2. The last thing we need to set is the angle to bow. This is the hardest thing to set, as you have to make an estimation without the use of any tools. Make sure to make the best estimation as possible, because this parameter influences a lot of the torpedo's path. In this footage, which is from the game Silent Hunter 3, you can see how the angle to bow setting dramatically changes the trajectory of the torpedo. So what is the definition of the angle to bow? The angle to bow is the angle you get if you draw 2 lines from your target, one along the path they are going and one to you. You will also need to know whether you're to the right or left of your target. In this example, you can see what the angle to bow is. We draw a line from the target along their travel path, and we draw a line to us. This angle is the angle to bow we need to enter. We are on the left of the target, so we should set 80 degrees on the bow left. In this gameplay, I try to estimate the angle to bow, Since the target is clearly a destroyer, I can see that it's moving to the right. When you've set all these things, it's time to fire. Aim for the center of the ship and press spacebar. Quickly let the other player operating the computer switch to the second tube and fire a bit in front of the target. You could even fire a third torpedo if you feel like it. Now it's time to wait, and if you're lucky... Oh, I hit. We hit.
Yes?
Yeah, we hit.
Ooh.
We hit. Good luck doing this yourself. And if you don't hit, just keep trying. You can do it. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll see you next time.